This is the 6Three podcast, your home for the most in-depth analysis on all things sports, entertainment, and basically anything else you can come up with. Where we have some of the hottest takes, some of the craziest takes, some of the dumbest takes,
I have an IQ of 48.
and where we believe that opinions are like. And now, to your hosts, Joel, Isaiah, and RJ.
Ben! Thanks for tuning into the 6Three podcast. I'm your host, Joel, my co-hosts, Isaiah and Ben. Welcome to July 7, 2020, episode 26, I think. It's a good day. It's a good day, right? It's a Tuesday. Yeah. We're 2/7 of the way through the week. Good stuff.
Yep. Getting there.
What is that batting average? What is that, like a 286 or 2 out of 7? That's 233, 286. I don't want to do quick math right now. Why did I even bring that?
You don't do math here.
No. We don't do math. This is the 6-3. We have numbers in our name, but we don't do math.
Tell you what, it's a good day to be Patrick Mahomes.
Hey.
First
Yes.
$500 million man in NFL history, the highest paid athlete in NFL history, the first time that the NFL has had the highest paid athlete in the nation ever, which surprised me seeing that earlier today. But
yeah, that was a little bit of a surprising stat.
what do you guys think of Patrick Mahomes getting up to $40, $50 million a year to throw a ball?
Yeah, so like a day, that's over $137,000 a day this guy's making. He's, like we were talking about earlier, that's over double what I'm making a year, and he gets to make it in a day. There's a lot of great things about that, and Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend just better hang on a couple years longer.
Yes. I mean, the Chiefs obviously thought he was worth it. He's obviously the best quarterback in the league right now. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm always skeptical just because in sports injuries can really derail a lot of things. So I'm always skeptical when giant contracts like this come out. But he's certainly the closest thing to a sure thing as far as ability that you could find out there. So I completely understand it, although that is a lot of money. So it could be really, really sad if something.
Yeah, it could be like Bobby Bonilla on the New York Mets.
Yeah. It could be really, really rough if something were to happen. But I mean, they had to take the risk. They had to lock him up. So I get it.
Yeah, I thought they would have waited one more year on his rookie contract. After last year where he missed a few games, have him get a healthy year under his belt, and then when obviously they're going to pick up that fifth-year option.
Right.
But before they do it at the end of his fourth season, I thought that's when they were going to sign that extension, but I guess neither side wanted to wait. They wanted to make it official. I mean, he may, I said it when we did our quarterback rankings. Obviously, Tom Brady's the GOAT, and all these older quarterbacks have better careers than Patrick Mahomes. But I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback as good as Patrick Mahomes. Like, he just does, in these 2 years, he just does anything you could ever ask him for. He can get out of the pocket and run. He can extend a play. He can chuck bombs. He can throw without looking where he's throwing it. He can do everything those other guys can, and he's only 24. So, yeah, I see why you would pay him that much money, even though it was a lot of money. And I'm sure Dak Prescott and all these other guys are happy seeing those numbers roll across social media to ask for as much, even though they do not deserve it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much it'll really – I mean, I'm sure it'll affect, like, Dak's, contract and discussions and stuff like that. But I'm really not sure how much it really will, just because I think teams kind of view Mahomes as, like, he's in a different stratosphere as in terms of talent as any of these other QBs. So, Dak, I throw him in the box of, the Carson Wentz, that level of talent, which is not, very good quarterback. There's nothing wrong with that. But if Dak's out there asking for, obviously he's not going to be asking for Patrick Mahomes money now, but, if he's out there asking for to to get a bump just based off of the Mahomes contract. I mean, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm coming back with like, hey man, like we really like you, but you're not Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you haven't won a Super Bowl, you haven't won an MVP, and you aren't putting up the same level of numbers as Patrick Mahomes. So I mean, I think it might have an effect. Or Dak may come in and say, hey, look at what Mahomes got, but I don't know if it's really, because a lot of times these deals will happen in the NFL, and it's like, oh, that's the new standard. But I mean, he was the new standard and broke through into the stratosphere with that, and so I'm not sure it's really going to affect the quarterback market that much, but I think it'll definitely do something. I'm just not sure it's going to do anything to Dak necessarily.
I think the only next time we'll see someone get close is Lamar Jackson if he stays healthy and productive. I would say Deshaun Watson, but I don't think the Texans value him that much. I don't think Bill O'Brien really knows what he's doing. But I could see Lamar Jackson, if he puts it up another 1 or 2 years like this past year, even a little less than this last year, he pushed up there into Mahomes level.
Yep, I'd agree.
Yeah, so anytime you can make $96 a minute, you're doing pretty well for yourself. So let's go back and dial back a little bit and take a third of that number, 32, and rank our NFL teams.
Pick a man.
How about that? We're still doing math here on the 6-3, baby.
Hey.
So
how about that?
I get to do the first overall pick in this one. Then Ben will go to Isaiah number 3. So for the number 1 secondary, I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers.
Ooh, we're on number 2.
Sorry about it. I just Casey Hayward, Chris Harris Jr. now getting up there in age, but Desmond King was people were rumored to be trading for him and hitting up the Chargers pretty hard pre-draft to see if they could take Desmond King because they were set at corner. But they hung on to him, and then they have the safety tandem of Derwin James and Nasir Adderley. There's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that are afraid to throw against them. So, but they need it if they're going to play Patrick Mahomes and his $503 million ass twice a year. So,
I had him number 2. I mean, and it was a close race at number 1 and 2 for me. But yeah, they're just stacked at corner. I don't think you can. I don't know how many teams you can even make the case to have a better top 3. And then Derwin James, one of the most annoying CPUs to play against in Madden.
Yep.
Especially when we had a user playing as them, but just right up there with Luke Kuechly of just pisses you off because he's all over the place. But that's how he plays in real life too. He is all over the place. He's a quarterback's nightmare. They're number 1.
Yep, I had him number 2 as well. So Derwin James probably certainly fits the mold of the new. Maybe not new, but the hybrid safety linebacker role. But he can perform both at an extremely high level. He got hurt a little bit last year, but if he stays healthy, they're going to be insane this year. So nothing wrong with that pick.
Good. Glad you feel it.
There you go. I'm number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, I am going to go with the New England Patriots. Stephon Gilmore, the McCourty brothers, Patrick Chung, Adrian Phillips. This pick, I actually had them as my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did these rankings, I actually broke it down in just both safeties, and then I did corners, and then I kind of combined them and figured out where how they kind of matched up, or how they, each where I wanted to put them as a combined defensive backfield. And the Pats, their performance last year was absurd. Stephon Gilmore, probably the best, I would say probably top 3 corner in the league. Maybe, some would probably consider top corner. Jason and Devin McCourty, just, beasts in the defensive backfield. Patrick Chung's been around, so certainly getting up there in age a little bit, but big hitter coming down from safety. And then I really like Adrian Phillips as well. I base this mostly off of their performance last year. Probably just the most suffocating defensive backfield in the league last year. So yeah, I had them at number 2.
They're my number 3, so definitely up there with picking the upper echelon secondaries right now.
Yeah, they were my number 3 as well.
Can you fill in my blanks then, Isaiah? Let's go.
Let's see. My number 1 overall, we skipped over, is the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, they're my top 3.
Marlon Humphrey had an amazing second half of the year. Marcus Peters Marcus Peters has an amazing second half of the year. Marlon Humphrey had an amazing year. And then you got Earl Thomas, Tavon Young, Chuck Clark. I love their secondary. I think it's, man, these top 3 are just amazing, but it is extremely disruptive, the Ravens secondary. So I thought they deserved it at number 1, but they definitely deserve it at number 3.
Number 4 for me. This one is kind of going back and forth with these 2 teams, but I think ultimately, because I think the safeties are just that much better, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Josh Norman has not been what he was, 3 years ago and before. So he needs to get back on track. But Tre'Davious White, I'm really high on Tre'Davious White. Like him a lot. Taron Johnson is the nickel corner there, is a nice piece. And then there's safeties with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. To me, that's a top 3 safety tandem in the NFL as well. So that's why I feel comfortable taking him here at 4.
Yeah, I like the Bills' defensive backfield. Tre'Davious White's probably a little underrated, I think. People don't really think about him as
still young. Yeah, he's still young, so he's got time to prove. But
I think he's going to be I wouldn't even say budding star because I think he's already a star.
Yeah.
But he's, Josh Norman gets a lot of headlines just because he's outspoken and whatnot. But I think Tre'Davious White's better, in my opinion. Yeah. So that's a good pick. Number 5. Let's see. Where did I put that? Number 5. We are going to go with probably going back and forth between a few here as well. I think I'm going to go with the Steelers at number 5. Joe Hayden, Justin Lane, Mike Hilton, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Terrell Edmonds. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is probably top 5 safety in the league. I really like Justin Lane and Joe Hayden. And Mike Hilton can fly and he can cover pretty much anybody. So I really like the Steelers. I like the way they play defense, really aggressive, a lot of man coverage. So it's fun to watch them play.
Yeah, I think this top 10 after these first 3, I really felt like it was kind of tough to kind of switching back and forth in the top 10. So I had the Steelers at 9, but it was tough to choose between all those guys.
Yeah, I thought it was too because we skipped 2 of mine. Steelers 6, Bills 7. But I'm going to go at number 4, or with my number 4 at number 6, and that's going to be the New Orleans Saints.
That's my number 4. Yep.
Janoris Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore are amazing. As much as he gave up one of the best plays probably in the past 10 years of sports, Marcus Williams is good. I love him back at safety. And then they picked up Malcolm Jenkins from Philly, who's getting up there in age, but I still think is like kind of disruptive to make a boom if he wants to. I think they got an incredibly solid group. And I am going to be really happy. We've talked about in our rankings how good the Bucs offense is, but they're going to go up a defense like this 2 times a year. It's going to be tough, and those games are going to be amazing. So I can't wait.
Well, let's just hope Malcolm Jenkins stops being mad at Drew Brees by the time the season starts.
Yeah.
There's some Twitter issues on there for a while, but
for sure.
All right, number 7 then. Is that me already?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got my 6, 7, and 8 here still. I am going to go with the. All right, let me just take a gander here. I'm going to go with the – man, this is too hard.
This is tough.
I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. Yeah, that was kind of a tough one for me, but A.J. Boye and Bryce Callahan, I think, is just like Tre'Davious White, another pretty underrated cornerback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, Duke Dawson, still young, very talented. Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons at safety is a very nice safety duo.
Like Justin Simmons, yeah.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I had him a little lower. I know we were talking about kind of the interchangeability of a lot of these, but no, I do think they're really solid. I do like Justin Simmons a lot and AJ Bouye.
All right. Number 8, right?
Yep.
Okay. This is getting tougher and tougher. I think I'm gonna go with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with, and we'll see where you guys had this team. But I'm gonna go with the Giants here at number 8. Okay. And there might be a little homer in me here. Where did you have them, Joel? You're laughing.
31.
31 at the Giants. What?
Yes.
So, dude, I have their safeties ranked as the ninth best safeties, and their corners ranked as the 14th best corners.
DeAndre Baker's not even going to play this year. He's getting arrested. He's arrested.
Well, okay, he's on the list, all right? So you gotta take that into account.
That was a little bit of a knock. I think with him still, I probably would have had him around 20 or 21.
Because he's good.
I'm at 20.
Yeah, he's good. He's only in his second year. He's obviously high potential. He just couldn't stay out of trouble. But
Exactly.
And James Bradbury spent some good quality time with the Panthers, so I like James Bradbury.
I like Xavier McKinney. I think he's going to be good. I know
But
we're talking about rookies.
But dude, Xavier McKinney, yeah, I don't know, it's the whole rookie thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
Corey Ballentine and Julian Love, haven't seen anything out of them, and they're
Right.
both going to their second year.
Right.
Very young.
Yep.
Jabril Peppers, yeah, that's it may be a little bit of a
A
homer.
little bit of
pick.
homer, but he had a good year. He actually had a good year. I will say that.
Yeah. And Grant Haley's a nobody to me, but I
I'm
don't know if 31. I think I made my list already 4 weeks ago. I made this list already though, and I think I didn't spend a whole lot of time once I made it adjusting too much.
Well, when did Baker get arrested again?
That was like a month and a half ago.
I was gonna say it was probably right around when you made the list. So you probably crossed him off right away.
I had the Giants down at 21 too, so I think they got a lot of solid pieces. I just think.
I mean, there's no star power there other than Baker's probably your best option there.
Well, and every team I have above them has honestly
a star.
maybe a little less overall talent, but definitely more star power.
I would say the Giants are towards the top in potential, and if they do not, if DeAndre Baker somehow,
if DeAndre Baker is actually not on the field, then yes, they have a problem.
no, and if he does even get to play with them, and then all those guys perform, even
it's the big thing is if Xavier McKinney actually, is good.
plays as a first round safety, basically.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I like Xavier McKinney a lot. Loved watching him at Alabama, but there's so much unexpected right now with this Giants. And when we made their defensive line, it wasn't a great line. So if they don't get the pass rush either, they could all be toast. And then losing DeAndre Baker without that pass rush, it could be like Lions secondary all over again, man.
Yeah, I could.
But no, I get it based on potential, and then obviously not forgetting about DeAndre Baker. That could be a reason to put him there. I'm not going to knock you too hard on
Just
it.
saying, he's on the list. So if he's on the list, I'm going to actually until it actually comes out that he's not going to play, I'm going to put him on the list.
Is it the same though with there was another who was the guy that got in trouble with him though? That's
the other
Quentin
guy.
Dunbar. Quentin Dunbar with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I tried not to account for that too much because they both got in trouble together.
Well, that was very stupid.
They're the ones that held up a card game or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Fun.
All stupid.
Yeah, and I mean they're looking at up to 5 to 10 years in prison if convicted to the max.
Yep.
But
which will effectively end their careers. So
yeah, they can't even make a Michael Vick comeback, which we'll talk about later today. But I don't want to jump ahead of anything too far. I would love to get right back into the 9th overall pick from Isaiah.
Right. I got a couple I'm trying to pick between. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
I have them. I have a team above them, but I'm making a game time decision to pick the Browns here. Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, really good. Young, they still have a lot of growth to do. Carl Joseph, I love Carl Joseph. I don't know what it is, but I love Carl Joseph, and he's good.
Because it's Carl with a K. It's why.
Yeah, that's him.
That is why.
He can definitely let the boom. I do like Grant Delpit, their first round pick this year. I was looking at him on the draft boards of whatever team gets him, I think they're getting a really good talent. Don't know much about Andrew Sendejo, but I like the Browns a lot. Like I said, I have a team above them, so they could move a few spots, but I definitely think they're solid at 9. I actually have them at 9.
I'm at 8, and I just like you, I also had one team above them still, so I will pick them here, and that is the Green Bay Packers.
That's who I had above.
Jair Alexander, Kevin King, Josh Jackson, pretty much all came out of the same draft, I think.
Yeah, they did.
And all that was their first 3 picks, from my memory. And then Darnell Savage was a rookie last year, and he was probably Defensive Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for Nick Bosa on the NFC. And then also, just to add on top of that, Adrian Amos was the Bears. Was he on the Bears?
I believe so. Yeah.
So just moving to another NFC North team,
Yep.
they look solid all the way around.
Yeah, that's the team I had above the Browns as well. I just don't like picking the Packers for anything because
I always got to do the dirty work around here.
But no, they have an incredibly solid and pretty young group there. They have they're set at secondary if they can hold on to those guys for a while.
What number are we on?
11.
11?
Yep.
I am going to go with the Titans at 11.
There's a good pick. That's exactly my 11th one.
Yeah. Dory Jackson, Malcolm Butler, Jonathan Joseph, Kenny Vaccaro, Kevin Byard. I mean, those are pretty good names across the board. Anybody who watches football should know. Dory Jackson is really coming into his own as a top corner in the league. Malcolm Butler's obviously going to be well known for that Super Bowl, but always been a solid player. Jonathan Joseph, Kenny Vaccaro. Kenny Vaccaro is a big hitter. I like watching him play. He plays very hard.
That dude's jacked.
He's a big guy. So yeah, really
Kevin
good.
Byard's towards the top every year in picks.
Yep.
He's a purebred ball hawk. And so like I said, this is a good spot for them. I feel like because they are a lot of names. People know Malcolm Butler because he sealed the deal in the Super Bowl with the Patriots when they should have ran with Marshawn Lynch.
And then they booted him out.
Yeah, but I mean, that was really all he was known for. If you really think about it, he was like their 4th corner that year. He just became a hero. Like other than that, he hasn't been super elite after that. I
feel like both him and who's the guy that went to the Titans from the Patriots?
Logan Ryan?
Yeah, Logan Ryan. They both just signed some pretty solid contracts based off of postseason play in New England. Like Ryan had a real good postseason for 1 year, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to sign a 4-year deal with the Titans and get paid a ton." And he's not a bad player, but he's okay.
Yeah, he's already a free agent again. He's on a new team already again this year.
Exactly.
But and then Jonathan Joseph, he's probably a little we know him because he was around in Madden 2008. He was one of the fastest corners in Madden 2008. He's still around. He's 35 years old now. Obviously lost a step, but still very, very solid corner.
Yep. And he brings the kind of the experience to that defensive backfield. Because Dory Jackson's pretty young still. So
I like a Dory Jackson. He's a valuable kick returner too if they need him in a tight spot. Obviously they try to avoid putting your corners in the kick return spot because you want to save those guys.
Well, he played offense even in college with USC too. He played offense, defense, and special teams. So
yeah. Oh man, 12.
Might be going. I don't know if you guys will think this is a stretch. We are at 12, and I had them at 9.
That's who I have at 9. Is it who I have at 9?
It is the Miami Dolphins.
That's not who I had at 9. But
I don't think it's that big of a stretch. I mean, I don't love their safeties, but
I have them at 4. But I agree. I don't like their safeties at all.
Yeah, I think Eric Rowe is all right. Bobby McCain I think he's a captain on their team, but he's one of those captains where he's just like a locker room guy, doesn't do much on the field production. But
they're two corners. I love
Xavier Howard. Yeah, that's why I picked him so high. Xavier Howard and Byron Jones are amazing.
And then their rookie Noah Igbenogany is.
Yeah, I was gonna say I liked a lot of his film from Auburn. I thought he looks like he will translate pretty well to the NFL. I know it's hard to say how rookies will do, but it looks like he just has an eye for the ball, not for necessarily some of these guys that come in. You see them excel in college just because they're smarter than other people. He seems like he actually has the skill set to translate. But yeah, Xavier Howard and Byron Jones is just an amazing duo. That's why I'm so high on them. Their cornerbacks are just studs. But I thought the Cowboys kind of made him. I know he cost money, but they made a mistake by letting Byron Jones go. But yeah, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, and Kenobi, I think could be an incredible top three cornerbacks. When you look at the stats after the year's done, I think it would be way up there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they decided to use one of their 3 first-round picks on Igbenogany from Auburn. Yeah. So, I mean, they obviously think he's going to be a valuable person in that secondary. And having 3 strong corners pretty much all the time on the field, that's the reason I am picking them to be my Madden 21 team. We've already done our picks for the other league that I'm in for next year's Madden. Nice. I chose the Dolphins.
My only issue with the Dolphins is their safety play. Like the lasting memory of Eric Rowe is him getting torched in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and that wasn't that the game also that Malcolm Butler got inexplicably just did not play.
Didn't show up. Nope.
Yep. So yeah, that's my lasting memory of Rowe. But honestly, he isn't that bad of a safety. He just got destroyed that game. So
yeah. Well, I guess I kind of thought their incredible cornerback play will kind of mirror or cover up their bad safety play. Like if you just
probably will. I mean,
if you run man coverage and just let your safeties roam, the most classic Madden play ever, 2-man deep or 2-man under or whatever it may be, just put them on those deep blues and let them just run around. You can kind of just minimize some of their skill set not being there because you have such good cornerbacks, especially in man coverage. Byron Jones and Xavier Howard are not like they're not just ball hawks surveying the field. Like they can play good man coverage.
I would agree.
I pick them because I can make any safety pretty good in Madden. I tend to just be okay using safeties in Madden. So
yeah, whatever.
I wasn't really worried about having McCain and Rowe, but whatever.
All right.
I'll just toot. Over here, number 13. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys, who we just talked about. Obviously, Byron Jones just left.
Yep.
Wait, did we already pick them?
No. They are my 13.
No, we didn't pick them. For some reason, we talked about them before the podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because okay. I knew I went through that entire list before.
Wait a minute.
That confused me. So, yeah, Anthony
Brown. Just get us off track.
Anthony Brown, Chidobe Awuzie, and then Homer picked Jordan Lewis at nickel corner. Yep. And then, Xavier Woods, Clinton Dixon, and then their rookie Trevon Diggs can probably rotate in that as that third corner with Jordan Lewis if they need to. So I think they're not only deep, but I think solid. Not necessarily elite anywhere, but solid.
I agree. That is a deep defensive backfield for sure.
I had them right at 13. I have one team higher. Which you can make an argument they shouldn't be higher. But, yeah, if they had Byron Jones, they could be top 5. But they they kind of are just – they're as set as they really need to be at all those positions. They really don't need much more than what they have. That's kind of what the Cowboys do. That's how Jerry Jones runs that squad. He's just like in some positions he has studs, and then other positions he's like, yeah, we just got some dudes.
Yep.
All right, number 14.
14. I'm going to go with the Bears at number 14. Kyle Fuller, Artie Burns, Buster Skrine, Jalen Johnson, Deion Bush, Eddie Jackson. I love Eddie Jackson. I think he's going to be even better. Fuller's solid across the board there. I don't like the Bears at all. Zero part of me enjoys watching the Bears unless they're playing the Lions. Then I don't enjoy watching.
Family members watching.
Yeah, okay. But, they're a good defensive backfield. They just are. They're a good defense.
Well, that's what's nuts to me because our Familia, who are Bears fans, actually do not like their secondary.
They don't at all, and I think their secondary is easily top 15.
I would take them over the Lions still.
I would 100% right now,
Yeah.
as evidenced by this pick. So yeah, I mean, probably just because they got torched a lot last year. But
I'd give up too if I had Mitchell Trubisky not putting up points on the other side of the ball. You can't win all your games 13-9.
And I think Bush is actually going to be a better player this year than he was last year. And Eddie Jackson, just solid. Eddie Jackson is in my opinion, he could be one of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
Ball hawk, big hitter, everything. So, yeah.
All right, my pick.
Yep, 15.
I am going to stall while I look up one statistic before I pick my next team because I am
Use filler words.
in trouble. Disestablishmentarianism. I'm going to go. All right, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Not a bad pick. I like that.
Darius Slay from the Lions. I don't know. It was tough. It's tough for me to pick them because last year I feel like they did not play well. But they have a lot of good players. Like, it was weird. Like, I like Devontae Maddox, Roby Coleman, McLeod, Jalen Mills. Like, I think that some of those guys are solid, but they just seemed to not be good last year. They didn't have a shutdown cornerback. Hopefully they think they got that with Darius Slay. I'm not terribly heartbroken to see him go from the Lions. Like, I love Darius Slay, but I'd love to have him on our team.
I wouldn't like that paycheck at age 30, so that's why I was okay with it.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not heartbroken to see him gone, but they definitely think they found their number one cornerback. But I do think still that's a solid secondary room there. I do still think Darius Slay has 2-3 good years left in him. I think this next year will be his best of those 2 or 3. But yeah, I think they're just pretty solid at all their positions. They could use some upgrades, obviously. Hopefully, some of these guys will show up more than they did last year. But yeah, I think they're good right there at 15.
Yeah, I would agree.
Halfway point, pick 16. I'm going to go with my Detroit Lions.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Their safeties, they could rotate a bunch of different dudes in there. And then they get Desmond Trufant, who's maybe it's a little bit of a downgrade, but definitely worth it for the price that he came at, significantly cheaper than Darius Slay. Jeff Okudah, who many scouts for the NFL basically said that he's probably one of the best corners they've seen come out of college since Patrick Peterson at LSU. Yeah. And Justin Coleman, I mean, he was paid that money to be a good nickel corner. He was a good nickel corner for the Seahawks pre-Lions. So he needs to get back to that. And then they pick up Duron Harmon, who to me was their best free agent pickup out of all their moves this offseason. And Tracy Walker played really well when he was healthy last year. And then on top of that, rotating in a guy that they got as a steal in the 5th round last year, Amani Arawarie. Depth pieces and just a lot of safeties. And I could also mention Ron Curse from the Vikings. They also got him to rotate in at safety. So I think they have at least a lot of depth and play 7 guys on that defense. Make it like a 4 front 7, a 4-man front 7, and then put the rest of your guys in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I think it's a good pick. I had him a little bit lower, but that one was kind of tough for me because I do see the potential there.
They're good. They just they don't look good because there is no pass rush last
exactly.
year. And
it probably can be said for a lot of these teams. They're going to be better based off of pass rush. We haven't even gotten to some teams that have some crazy good pass rushes. So these teams that that are maybe towards the bottom, their stats might end up being not as bad because their pass rush.
Yeah, it does start in the trenches.
Yeah, or their linebacker play is incredible, so they're stuffing the run, so they're forcing teams to pass, so they're gonna look better. But yeah, I think the Lions are good. They just were exposed last year due to
no pass rush, no blitz,
literally nothing. No, like it was probably the worst pass rush I'd seen in a long time. So
Yeah, they blitzed like twice a game. It was horrible.
yeah, it was pretty bad.
What's that play in Madden? Cover 9 Velcro where you rush 2 guys in the 11 man or 9
I
minute.
never ran that play. I almost always blitz.
But they should do that.
Yeah, right.
Just give up on the pass rush and just put 9 guys in zone coverage.
There you go.
I'm about it.
I like it. Okay, we're on 17.
Yep.
All right, this is where it's getting tough.
The nitty gritty.
Yeah, because I feel like there's still some good defenses here.
My next team because I'm going to be lost if you do it.
We'll start scouting after this if he says it.
Dude. Yeah. We'll see what you guys think about this one.
Hopefully it's not the Giants at 31.
It's not.
Oh, we picked them at like 12.
Yeah.
They're already on the board. There's a few teams I could go here. But I think what I'm actually going to go with the 49ers. Richard Sherman, Akello Witherspoon, Quan Williams, Jimmy Ward, and Jaquiski Tart based off of his name.
I like Jaquiski Tartt. Yeah, he's good.
Richard Sherman, yeah, he's getting a little old, but he's still a lockdown corner. And I think he's starting to play, do everything he can to stay in the league. So he's got to play a little smarter. But he's still good. Akello Witherspoon's very good. I like Jimmy Ward, and I really like Akello Witherspoon, Quan Williams, and yeah, Jaquiski based off of his name is pretty cool. So
Well, Jaquiski Tartt's also just a pretty solid safety. That's not a bad room for sure. I had him right in the middle on my list. I had him at 16 on my list, so good pick.
I'm right at 17.
Number 18, Isaiah.
Well, the team that you didn't pick, and I'm glad you did, because everything falls apart after this point. I'm just kidding.
You got to get a head start on the next one then.
My number 15, but our number 18 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals.
That's my next one.
Pat Pete, one of my favorite cornerbacks in the league. I know he's 29 now, but he's still just productive. Sorry. Sorry, my internet went out for a second. But I was saying, Pat Pete, one of my favorite cornerbacks in the league. He's getting up there in age, but he's still really productive. Byron Murphy had a solid first year. I think he was pretty high up there in pass defenses among rookies. Robert Alford has just been pretty good. He dipped down last year a little bit, but he had a few solid years in a row. Obviously, picked off Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
And then Buda Baker.
So that didn't help.
Buda Baker just keeps getting better. He's going to be going into his 4th year. He broke 100 tackles last year, but he's just going up in tackles and just disruptiveness. And then you got Deontay Thompson there, who you don't know much about, but those other 4 guys are solid as all can be.
Just another big Bama secondary guy. That's who he is.
And throw an LSU guy in there. This one.
All right.
We also talked about this next team as well before the show, and so it threw me off again. But it is the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Prince Amukamara, getting a little older, but Trayvon Mullen staying young to balance it out. Then on top of that, getting Damon Arnett in the first round. Again, they're making their corners young again, but having that experience of Amukamara along with the safety groups of LaMarcus Joyner and Demarius Randall and Jonathan Abram. I think that's one of the best 3 safety groups in the league still. So
I like them.
I feel like it's a good steal right here at this point. Like I said, I had him at 15 on my original list, but I'll take him certainly at number 19.
Yeah. Good pick. I think Joyner's really solid. Maybe a little even underrated still, even though he's been in the league for a little while. So I like it. Let's see, 20, right?
Yep.
All right, a couple different options here. I am going to go with I'm going to go with the Colts at 20. Xavier Rhodes, C.J. Carey, Rock Yasin, Kari Willis, Malik Hooker, Kenny Moore. Malik Hooker, really solid. Xavier Rhodes is I like Xavier Rhodes a lot. Kari Willis, shout out, went to Jackson Lumen Christie, so not that far from here for high school, so pretty cool. The running back in high school was a really good running back. Rock Yasin, that might be the name of this entire.
Oh yeah, he's going into his second year now, and he has some good film coming out of Temple. He's a Mac.
Solid.
I like Rocky-Sin a lot. So
yeah. So yeah, overall, and I think Malik Hooker's very, very good. Ball hawking, defensive back. Just really, I mean, gets his hands on a lot of footballs, which is what you want. So
it's not the same though if you call him Rock as his original name of Abdurrahman.
Abdurrahman.
Like Rock.
Yeah, shoot, he would have won. I like Rock as a football player. Rock.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
No, Abdurrahman Yasin is pretty dope too.
Yeah, I agree. Abdurrahman Noodles Yasin is even better.
Yeah, that would be. That'd be a good one.
All right, number 21.
All right, sorry, my internet keeps pausing.
I know, I can tell.
Yeah, it's freezing up on us.
Well, tell you what, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
We're going to finish up the NFC North already. Cool.
Yeah, we got some decent defensive backfields there.
I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. Sorry, cut out again.
Oh, my gosh. We heard you the first time.
Lost Xavier Rhodes, but I like Jeff Gladney. Mike Hughes is all right. Don't know much about Cameron Dantzler. But then you have one of my favorite safeties, Harrison Smith. One of the few Caucasian gentlemen on this entire list.
That Grand Rapids Dutch Reformed area is all PC now, huh?
But I like Harrison Smith a lot. I don't think Anthony Harris is that bad, but yeah, I think they're a solid group right here in our ranking.
All right.
Yeah. All
right. Well, speaking of PC, I'm going to pick the Washington Redskins right here. At number 23. I'm a big fan of Fabian Moreau. Kendall Fuller is a top-notch corner in the NFL as well. Jimmy Moreland was a former, I think it was a 6th or 7th round pick like 2 or 3 years ago, and he's already been, highly touted as one of the better nickel corners in the league too. And then Landon Collins is one of the best safeties in the league. Sean Davis at safety, and then Ronald Darby just for depth. That's a good group.
Solid group.
I like Ronald Darby. He's all right.
I'll have them a little bit lower, but not that like there were 3 spots lower. So.
Oh yeah, okay, 26.
A lot of from honestly, I would even say 20 to like 29, maybe not 29, but 20. I'd say like 17 to like 27. That 10 range there could really kind of be moved around depending on how you want to argue it. I really think it could, because I don't think there's like, until you get to the bottom, I don't think there's any teams that are just like outright horrendous, unlike some of these other lists that we've had where it was like, what?
This was the hardest list for me to make. I had to start from the back. I had to try to go from the bottom and try to find the worst one. And then once I got to like you said, 28, I think I had to try to go back to the top. And I'm like,
all right, it was really like, because all these teams seem to have at least, one, maybe even 2 lockdown corners, or just some filler safety. So, what number are we? 20?
I think it's 24 now.
24, yeah. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with the Rams here. Jalen Ramsey, Troy Hill, David Long, Taylor Rapp, John Johnson. Yeah, I like Jalen Ramsey a lot. Obviously, he's one of the better corners in the league. He talks a big game, too, which is kind of always fun.
Yeah, talk.
Yeah. The Rams are really high on David Long. I mean, I'm not just saying this just as a Michigan guy. He's, in my opinion, I think he's going to turn into just a really solid all-around NFL corner.
You think he's going to have a better NFL career than Jordan Lewis?
Yes, I do. I think he's better. He's a little bit bigger. Probably right around the same, in terms of speed. But having the a few more inches on him, I think he's not necessarily just relegated to just being a nickel corner. And he's just very sound, very solid corner. And so I don't expect him to become anything special, like a lockdown number one corner, but I think he could be a solid number two corner in the NFL for a very long time. So
yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously Jordan Lewis was a better corner from a college perspective. Like but David Long also didn't get the recognition. I felt like him and Lavert Hill, both on the opposite ends, never really got real recognition. And if you actually pull up like the Pro Football Focus,
well, they were the best corners. I mean, Long was the best corner in
David
football.
Long was the best one for a while, like as like a passer rating against or whatever. It was nuts.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he would break up and shut down a lot of the Big Ten receivers. So.
Yep. I think he's going to be pretty tough.
I have high hopes for him, but I think a lot of us also had high hopes for Jordan Lewis, and then they tried him in the outside in the NFL, and he was a little slow for the outside.
He's just too small. I mean, he's just going to get. I mean, he could match up with some guys in college, because
still made one of the best defensive back catches of all time against Wisconsin, the one-hander. That was nuts.
Yeah, and I think Jordan Lewis is a gamer. I mean, he goes out there and does everything he can. But if you're 5'10",
yeah, I don't even know. He might be under 5. I think he was like 5'9" 3/4. But yeah,
he might be shorter than that. If you're, you can't match up with these 6'5" guys who run like deer.
Yeah.
I mean, who are just as fast, if not faster than you. They're gonna outleap you. You just can't match up.
It's a different ballgame.
Well, in that catch against Wisconsin, it was so incredible because he mistimed his jump. He jumped early and was falling as he caught it, which it was still incredible for him to catch that as he was falling.
Yeah.
But that's why it looked so cool, because he screwed up.
He jumped way too early, yeah.
Way too early. He was good in college and he could hide some of those flaws, but he hasn't been able to hide his flaws as well. He's still on a roster. He's still on a top 3 quarterback on his team, so he's still there.
Yeah.
But his size definitely. I mean, he's my height, so it definitely plays against him pretty heavily when you're going against. Obviously, he doesn't go against Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins, but he's going against guys with similar build, and it's just tough to do that when you're just as high as you can jump. They will be able to jump.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on my next pick, what are we at? 24?
25.
25? I think we're at 24.
I'm
every
the Rams are 24. So.
All right, I'm gonna go, and we talked about Breland earlier, but I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's my next one.
Yep. So I guess you can kind of throw Breland out if you want to. I mean, he's still obviously not the same quality as Baker, but good. Good enough to actually make headlines when he was involved in that. I really like them mostly for their safety play. We got Honey Badger, and I like Sorensen a lot.
Charvarius gentleman doing his thing.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Him and Harrison Smith team. Charvarius Ward had a decent last year. Still young, so he's still got improvement to go. Obviously, they lost Marcus Peters, but I really like him in the mid-20s for their safety play, especially. Tyrann Mathieu, on any given night, can be a top 5 safety in the league. He may not think that if you're making a list of top 5 safeties, but he's just all over the place. And he's just disruptive on every level of the field. I like them a lot just for that reason.
I think the Chiefs' defense as a whole doesn't get – I mean, I don't think they're a great defense by any means. I shouldn't say that. But I think their offense, because of how often they score and how quickly they score, the Chiefs' defense is on the field a lot.
And they're playing more prevent, so of course it's going to give up the yards.
And their whole thought is, okay, let's force a few turnovers a game, and let's not give up any stupid big plays, and then we should win because our offense is probably going to score 40.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how they've taken everything. So, yeah, their defense might not be that great, but I still think they have good players on their defense. They're just not going to be playing they're not going to be playing the style of defense to maybe make them better, because why would you with that type of offense?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it wouldn't work for every team, but obviously it works for them.
Yeah, for them, it worked great.
Without a shutdown corner like Peters, I mean, I know they still made it into the playoffs without him and won the Super Bowl without him. But we'll see how it goes for an entire season.
Right.
All right, pick 26. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. We got Gary and Conley coming over from the Raiders. Bradley Roby as well. And then Vernon Hargreaves kind of struggled, but I'll be honest, I predicted it when I watched Michigan torch Florida in the bowl game. Vernon Hargreaves got eaten up.
It was bad.
By like Jehu Cheston and Mara Darbo, was like who aren't even super, but like he was not good against them. So, yeah. So
made them look super.
Yeah, he sure did. And then, so excluding Vernon Hargreaves from this list, Justin Reed. Obviously, I think he's going to be one of the best safeties in the league in a couple of years. He's still going into like his second or third year. And then Eric Murray and Vernon Hargreaves are going to be the weak points. But you count the other three guys out of those five, and they've got a pretty good little secondary there.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're at what, 27 now?
Yep. Maybe. Are we at 20? You might be. Maybe I did miss a count.
We're at 27, yes. No, we're at 26.
Yeah, we are at 26. Yeah, I just counted. We still got 4, 5, 6, 7 teams left. So,
Yeah, let me see.
what did I miss?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Jets here.
Hey, that was my next.
Pierre Desir, Brian Poole, Bryce Hall, Jamal Adams, Marcus May. Jamal Adams is obviously the headliner here, in my opinion. But I don't think Poole or Bryce Hall are necessarily slouches. And I do like Pierre Desir as well. Pretty good defensive backfield. I don't think they have they're necessarily all that fast, but they can certainly come down and support the run. Jamal Adams is essentially just a fast linebacker back there, and can certainly lay the wood. I like watching him play. So, yeah, Jets there.
Yeah, I mean Jamal Adams may not be on the team.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another thing that
I know.
worries me. I think I kind of started going
And
down.
I think when I made this, I kind of took that into account.
Yeah.
Because I might have had him up a little higher because he is really good.
Yep. No,
The fact that he's still on the roster, I kept him. I had him, best case, I have him still at about 20 or 19. But, I've tried to find a middle ground because if they don't have him, I think they're like 30th to 32nd.
Exactly.
And so I tried to find the middle, which is 26 pretty much. Good spot.
Yeah. No, but even since they have him on the roster, since he's still in New York, that definitely helps him out. I love having him on my Madden team. It's going to be sad to trade him away this year because he's 30, but I hate to see him go just because he's another one of those players. Like, I know we talk about Madden a lot because we're in a league together, but he is just as disruptive in real life. Like, the reason he's good on Madden is because he's all over the place. He can pick the ball off. He can lay the boom. He can sack a quarterback. And he does that in real life. He shows up in every level of the defense in real life. So I don't know why the Jets would have as big of contracts with some of the players that they have and not pay Jamal Adams, but that is why they have been one of the laughing stocks of the league for years, because they just can't keep their best players or don't want to for some reason. They should definitely try to keep him, but it seems like he has a foot out the door already. So.
Well, the Jets they have a weird head coach. His eyes are always down the road, and shots fired.
Yeah.
Man down. 27, I guess. I'll give it a shot here.
Hard now.
Yeah, good grief. They're getting pretty bad, but I'm gonna go with the Seattle Seahawks.
Would be what I would go.
Shaquille Griffin's I think he's pretty good. Trey Flowers is definitely pretty good. Yugo Amadi, I have to try to put away the fact that I made him good in Madden, but he's not super yet. He's still young. Brad McDougald is not a good safety. I wish they would do a little more work there. So it's a good thing that they got Quandre Diggs from Detroit last year. And then Quentin Dunbar, I just listed him on this just because, he's also in trouble with DeAndre Baker. And we'll see that if he's still a part of the team, obviously more depth to him, which could help their value, maybe one or two spots on this list. But I'm going to put him there at 27.
I agree with that. Yeah, they're not very good, like just flat out. But I like Griffin for sure.
Yeah.
I like the Griffin brothers in general, man. That's a cool brother relationship. A lot. You got that with Adam, just a close brother relationship. Anytime you have that, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool story, very cool story.
28.
28. Ooh, going back and forth between two teams here. Neither are very good, obviously.
Yeah, we're about there now.
Let's see. I think I'm going to go with the Falcons here. AJ Terrell, Isaiah Oliver, Kendall Sheffield, Keanu Neal, Ricardo Allen, DeMonte Casey. I mean, it's an athletic defensive backfield. That's pretty much the only good thing I can say about them. They're unproven, pretty fast, athletic, but they haven't really done anything and other than not be very good. So, relatively young though. So, could end up moving up this list. If we did it again next year, I wouldn't be surprised to see them up, towards the 20 range or maybe high 20s or something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's they were my second one still available, so we're about there.
Yep.
All right. My turn next. I'm between two right now. I am going to go with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Because, sure, I recognize the names of Dante Jackson and Trey Boston. So that must mean they're all right. I'm pretty sure Trey Boston is extremely quick, right? Yes.
Dante Jackson can run.
Dante Jackson's one of the fastest corners in the league. Trey Boston's a pretty good ball hawk type of safety. And then they got Jeremy Chin this year in the draft. He's a small school guy. I think he went to Southern Illinois Salukis, or was he Northern Illinois? Or was he Northern Illinois?
I think he was Southern Illinois.
Yeah, and so we're getting to that point where it's getting hard to put some guys in there. Corn Elder, you can't beat the name of Corn Elder.
I know that gives Rocky Sin some competition. Corn Elder sounds like when you go to seek wisdom when you're in the middle of Iowa and you're lost because your GPS doesn't work. You go see the Corn Elder.
I was going to say the demonic supervisor of Children of the Corn, but maybe.
Him too. Yeah, that would work too. I like that.
Corn Elder.
Yeah. Corn Elder. No, yeah, I feel it. Which leaves me with my number 24 is still on the board here. So I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals.
So you've been reevaluating this as you go along then a little bit.
I did skip them. Oh no, I didn't. I put the Seahawks were number 22 for me as the last one. So I still have the Seahawks and Bengals there for me. So I'm going to take the Bengals here. Mackenzie Alexander, Will Jackson is a good corner. Trey Waynes is a serviceable, a solid third corner for sure. And then Sean Williams is not great, but Jesse Bates I do like as a safety a lot.
Yeah, they're all right. I mean, they're not great. Their whole defense is terrible, so I just don't think they're going to put up any kind of numbers.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be the result of they don't have a good front seven, so they're going to suffer.
They don't have a good much of anything. I'm going to go with the –
Davis Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Good luck, Joe. I'll go with the Bucks here. Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy, Bunting, Jamal Dean, Mike Edwards, Justin Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr. Antoine Winfield Jr.'s dad's a Hall of Famer. That's
It's in the genes to be a Hall of Famer. Yep.
That's it. That's about it. I enjoyed it watching. Antoine Winfield Jr. had like 9 picks last year for Minnesota. He's very good. I think he could end up being a pretty good player.
I can dig it.
That's
All
about
right,
it.
well, I'm left with the Jacksonville Jaguars at 32.
That's my 32. I don't.
Yeah, that's
They're
my
my
32.
31, but that's fine.
Yeah. Rashawn Melvin and DJ Hayden are just old. You got CJ Henderson there, who maybe he'll turn out to be something. And then a couple safeties that I don't recognize the names of. I probably should, but
Yeah, I mean, Jared Wilson went to Michigan. Yeah.
oh, there you go.
So, like, they got 3 guys that had some time in Michigan. Like, DJ Hayden and Rashawn Melvin are former Lions corners. And then, then they get Jared Wilson from Michigan.
Yep.
The rest of those guys ain't crap. CJ Henderson, potential, obviously. Super fast, super athletic. But he's a Florida corner. And Lions know Tease Tabor, and Bucks know Vernon Hargraves. So we'll see how that pans out. You never want to blame it completely on the system that they grew up in. So that's a kind of like a fallacy. What do they call those?
Yeah, it's just sad to see where the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is, what it's become.
I know they were so good.
If you look 3 years ago at some of the names on this list, you got Jalen Ramsey, AJ Foye, Prince Mukamara. Like, you just have guys.
Miles Jack, Telvin Smith, Calais Campbell. They were good.
That year, there was that year where I know it's fantasy football, but they were scoring like 20 points in fantasy football defense statistics like half the weeks of the year.
Yep.
But they were just amazing. They went to the AFC Championship because of it. And now they are left with 2 30-year-old corners. CJ Henderson, hey, like we said, hopefully he'll be really good. And then just these other dudes, like, they're just left with nothing. And we've shown that in our other rankings. They've lost Calais Campbell. They've lost all these other guys. And it's sad to see. It's all because they got rid of Blake Bortles. You never get rid of Blake Bortles.
But this is kind of the cycle that happens for teams that aren't perennial powers, though.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Teams can't be teams really, and this isn't like, this is a Bortles thing too, but teams that can't build around a quarterback for 10 years. Okay. The teams that are always there, even if they don't win every year, are the teams that can build around a franchise quarterback all the time. Other teams, they're looking for it, And
I'm starting to, in our Madden League, I'm starting to think like one of those GMs and owners now, because I know I'm not going to be competing for a Super Bowl with the likes of all you guys. So I'm just kind of like, Jalen Smith, like, he's 30. Let's get him out of here. Jamal Adams, he's amazing. He's a 99 overall, but he costs too much money. Let's get him out of here. So I get it where and we're going to Oklahoma City this year, so we're just telling everyone.
Get on out.
The Egyptians?
I don't know if I'll be the Egyptians.
You don't want that kind of press, dude.
I don't want to I don't want to see in the social media section of franchise mode where
all those SJWs are going to come after you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really bad, especially since I like Harrison Smith because he's white.
Daniel Sorensen. You really like Daniel Sorensen. Yeah, for sure.
But no, that could be a discussion topic for Sunday. But yeah, you just have these small market teams and like these teams who just have this flash in the pan year where their high picks pan out for like 2-3 years, and then all those guys are like, I need money, and then the owners are like, I'm not making any money, so I don't want you to make any money.
Right.
And they're like, I'll just go to the Dallas Cowboys and get a paycheck from Papa Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens, and it's frustrating for those teams. I mean, it happens in all the sports, so it happens in baseball, it happens in baseball. Look at the Kansas City Royals. I mean, not that long ago, won World Series, and last year they were one of the worst team. They might have been the worst team in baseball.
They were right there with the Detroit Tigers, yeah.
The Tigers beat them.
Look at the Tigers.
And they lost to them. So, yeah, look, I mean, it's just you can't sustain that unless in the NFL it's a little different in the NFL, in my opinion. If you can find that franchise quarterback, you can. I mean, there was a period of time the Patriots weren't good until they were able to build around Brady, and once he became what he is. So, I mean, it can happen. You don't need to necessarily just be a team that's always like that. But you also need to smartly build around them, because there's teams with good quarterbacks that don't.
And that's the thing. Like, it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation. Like, what makes you a powerhouse is getting that franchise quarterback. But once that franchise quarterback is left, you're still a powerhouse. The New England Patriots our split powerhouse, even though that guy left.
Yep.
And we'll see how the future goes, but it's all cyclical.
Yep. And wait. Come on. There he is.
No, I was just saying it's cyclical where you have these teams that are good, then bad, then good, then bad, but then you just have some teams like the Detroit Lions who are just
bad. Yeah. This basically turned into our discussion topic because little do we know, this turned into about an hour and 5-minute long draft.
Yeah, that took a long time.
I think that goes to show how hard it was to rank the defensive back specifically. I think this was the hardest list for me personally.
Yeah, definitely.
So definitely made that one a bit fun. Last one, then next week we'll do the special teams, which obviously is probably the least exciting one. We'll try to make it quick.
Come on.
I don't care about the long snappers.
Come on.
It's a key point in the game. You can't screw it up.
You have one job.
Championships are won and lost.
You are literally like one bad snap away from being cut. That is a job security there is. Ugh.
Yep.
So our actual discussion topic this week is athletes in any sport that have made amazing comebacks, basically with setbacks, whether it be in trouble with the law or serious injuries or just disgruntled pasts. And then still make the best of it and still come back to being one of the best at their sport. So we each picked two or three guys, and I'm going to let Isaiah start this out, buddy.
Ooh. All right. Well, my first one, we're not to just show how the meat is made, but we're also having a future discussion topic of festival hits, and this will probably show up in when we do that. However long that might be. But I'm going to go with Derrick Rose. He burst onto the scene in the NBA, was the youngest MVP winner ever, even though some people think LeBron James should have won it that year. And then he battled injury after injury, tore his ACL multiple times, ankle injury, back injury. Couldn't find a home. He went to New York and to Cleveland. Went to the Timberwolves, though. And just from maybe finding a better role for himself and trying to be playing at an NBA level, he last year, or I guess if we're counting this current season that still has yet to finish with last year, 2 years ago, he found his way to just be a really productive player for the Timberwolves. He had his highest, most points in a game at, I think, 51. Had a really emotional interview after that, but just found a way to be productive, be around a 15, 20 point per game scorer. Now he's on the Detroit Pistons, and they're looking to trade him because they're blowing everything up. But there's teams that want him. And I think that's, even though he didn't come back to be the same level he once was, he never will be because he's getting too high up in their age and just doesn't have the same game. To be that good and to go through years. Like some of these people, they're out of the league with an injury for a year, maybe two. And they come back and they win championships or MVPs. He was power for years. He was bad for years. He was broken for years. And he comes back and he gets all-star buzz this year. He's getting a lot of interest from a lot of contending teams. I think in my mind that's a huge comeback for him. I feel bad for Chicago to go through some of these things. But I think, Derrick Rose, he's one of my favorite NBA players just because he's been able to come back, find a new role, reinvent his game, and just be incredibly productive. And highly, a lot of interest from other teams. And will retire, I think, looking back to his career, very successful.
Yeah, I mean, people want to jump. That was an interesting draft class because they were allegedly two of the best basketball players from college going at it to be the first draft pick that year. And I remember hearing so much about Derrick Rose and so much about Michael Beasley. I don't know if you remember Michael Beasley as well, but both the guys were going back and forth on who's going to be the number one pick that year. Beasley lasted, 2-3 years in the NBA, and he wasn't – I don't think he ever hit over 19 points a game. And Derrick Rose, people wanted to put that bust label on him really early after he got hurt. So, I mean, people want to focus on that. But like you said, he's reinvented his game now to come back and kind of find a role, maybe lesser minutes on the court, now, but when he is on the court, he's been extremely effective as of late. So there's something to be said about that.
He was one of my favorite players to watch when he first obviously came into the league. Explosive, kind of not what you were typically seeing out of a point guard at that time. I mean, not a bad shooter, but really wasn't, he wasn't necessarily a shooter. He would just attack the rim, and he played above the rim as a point guard, which you just did not see that often. You see it a little bit more now. But obviously after the knee injuries, he can't really do exactly that anymore. But it's just amazing to see him even playing. I mean, that dude's knees are, they don't exist anymore. And he's still out there. I mean, there are players that they'll go through those same kind of injuries and they just don't, they just can't do it anymore. So it's, I mean, like I said, we could talk about what ifs, and it would be amazing, kind of crazy to be able to see what could have happened if he never got hurt, because he could have been a perennial MVP. The Bulls who knows, they could have competed, because they kind of spiraled out of control when it all happened too. So, it's crazy.
And it is like the way he played the game as a point guard was just amazing. He was obviously differences in their game, but he was kind of Russell Westbrook before Russell Westbrook. And he's obviously not the triple-double. That's not what Derrick Rose was known for, but he played that way. I mean, he played physical. He jumped over people. He dunked on people. But better than Russell Westbrook, he could go out and shoot a three. I mean, it was that huge game winner over the Cleveland Cavaliers where he just reacts stone-faced. But, he plays how a lot of athletes want to, or point guards in the league want to play now. He was kind of the prototype for that.
I'd agree.
All right, Ben, who was your first comeback guy?
All right, I'm going to go baseball here. So I know we talk about, you talked about how we were picking guys that were necessarily, maybe at the top of the sport. I'm going to pick Rick Ankiel. I wouldn't consider him nearly top of the sport, when he kind of went through things that we'll talk about here in a second. But he certainly had a lot of promise at the time, and his story is kind of interesting. So Rick Ankiel burst in the MLB in 1999. Before that, he was the minor league player of the year in that year, before he came up. He was the high school player of the year, Gatorade High School Player of the Year in 1997. So obviously he's fast tracking all the way to the big leagues. He was a second round draft pick for the Cardinals. And he was a good pitcher, left-handed pitcher, threw hard, had a great curveball. The Cardinals thought very highly of him. Other teams thought very highly of him, and considered him to be their future, in their future. Cardinals made it to the playoffs in 2000, right? So in the postseason, and Ankiel and another guy were a couple of they were just racked by injuries that year. So he and another guy were some of their only healthy pitchers. And Ankiel pitched postseason, and was cruising along. I think he got through like 2 innings, and it wasn't even the World Series; it was the Division Series. Got through like 2 innings, and it was fine, cruising along. And next thing you know, he just loses the strike zone, like not just like what you'd think losing the strike zone, like he walked a couple guys in a row, and then give a couple hits and he got pulled. No, like this dude was chucking stuff to the backstop, like consistently to the backstop, like literally got the yips, like and it's just it's something that it happens to baseball players and the pitchers sometimes. I've seen it happen to guys, and it became just this mental block for him, and they tried to run him out there again later in the postseason, and it didn't go well. And so obviously, the thought was, okay, was it just the moment? Was it the postseason, all the fans? Did it get to him? Maybe, we just, get him to calm down. He was young. Maybe we get him to calm down. Maybe we'll send him down to the minors for a little while and he can come back. He never regained it. He could not find the strike zone when they sent him back down. So, eventually a team's just going to give up on you. So he kind of was just going to be done. He was just going to be done with baseball. He was depressed. He was just frustrated with everything. And just like, hey, that was it. You had a short, like 2-year stint, not even 2 years, and you're done. But Ankiel was also like a really good athlete and a very good outfielder growing up. So we decided, hey, I'm gonna try this position player thing, and broke back into the big leagues actually as an outfielder, and made that switch in 2005. Broke back up in with the Cardinals. Never was an amazing player. Was more of a platoon outfielder, but hit 240 for his career, had 76 home runs, 251 RBIs, and was just solid. And yeah, obviously was he one of the tops in the sport on his comeback? No, but I think it's a really cool story. One, to show first of all how athletic he is, and two, not many people can say they both pitched in the major leagues as like a legitimate pitcher and was a legitimate major league outfielder.
I mean, pretty much just Shohei Ohtani. That's about it.
Well, yeah, and like he was the first player since Babe Ruth to be able to, I think it was to hit like 50 home runs and also win 10 games, in his career. So it's pretty crazy that he was able to do that, and just battle through that because teams look at you, you go through this whole scouting process to be, to get through the minor leagues and get, this evaluation process. And he had to do it twice at two different positions and be good enough to be up in the majors, as a pitcher and both as a position player. That's, next to impossible. Some of these guys are great athletes, and I'm sure some other guys could probably do it. But for him to be put in a position to where like, hey, your career is over if you don't make this change. Because you obviously can't figure it out, and to be able to do it, it's pretty cool. So pretty cool story.
Yeah, definitely. I do remember Rick Ankiel playing against the Detroit Tigers whenever it got to that World Series game. Mm-hmm. So he was batting fifth or sixth, which is just something insane from a former pitcher.
Yep.
He did a really interesting interview with Pardon My Take Sports, one of the biggest sports podcasts out there. Yeah, I had never heard of him before that, and his interview, just hearing his story and everything. Yeah, it was like, I know it's a stupid comedy podcast, but it was freaking inspiring. So, yeah.
My first one is going to be Tommy John, and I think a lot of us know the term. Millions of people probably know the term now, but there's the surgery basically where they replaced a ligament in your elbow, especially in your pitching arm, with a tendon from your right forearm. That's basically Tommy John surgery, and it can sometimes be the death penalty for some pitchers. Some pitchers never really get it back, get their arm strength back anymore. They don't get the spin on the ball. Velocity isn't there. And he was the first one to have this experimental procedure done. He made his major league debut back in the 60s, in 6'3", with the Indians, and then he played very well. Was a 4-time All-Star till 1974, I want to say, is when he got the surgery done. He comes back after 2 years, and then he still pitched until 1989. So he added another 13 years to his career after an experimental surgery that who knows what could have happened at that point. He racked up nearly 300 wins, and of those wins, almost 160 came after that surgery. And he had still under a career, I think he had 3.334 career ERA, which those are just great numbers. 4-time All-Star and having a surgery named after you, that's something special.
Well, it tells you how successful it is. And like you said, some guys never get it back, but the success stories are becoming more and more common. Where some guys come back and they're stronger, depending on, and that's not always just because of the surgery. They may have been, doing
that's sometimes HGH and rehabilitation.
That too. But, or they may have just become better pitchers, in the time that they were able to sit down, and take time off. But, now it's almost unfortunately, it's become kind of a foregone conclusion that some guys are just going to have Tommy John surgery, and then we'll see what happens, just because the injuries become so prevalent. But before that surgery happened, that injury was prevalent, and it just meant, your elbow blew up, and yeah, sorry.
You be messed up for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
done. I mean, yeah, you can't. There's no surgery, so it's really cool to see that one guy, his success with it has caused so many other people to be able to continue careers because of it.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I mean, that's a big conversation of like, especially this time off of sports, this like really weird time off. I know at least for the NBA, this break will last longer than their normal off season does.
Yeah,
But it'll be interesting to see some of the guys we get to see come back from injury after this, because there's a lot of guys who have just been pushing themselves to get back and pushing themselves to get back, and they just themselves to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what this time off does and see if you get some more of these success stories of guys who look like their career were done and they come back and maybe even better than before.
Yeah, it's definitely a discussion for a later date. But yeah, we obviously see now a lot of these players during this whole quarantine thing, they're pretty much responsible for their own health at this point. Like their rehab is pretty much a solo game for a lot of these guys. A lot of them are just going to go to a park just to go run around or find a place in their backyard to just work out. So this time off where they don't have the same kind of activity that they usually could result in more injuries. So it's going to be a lot of preparation could be involved.
Yeah.
That. But Isaiah, number 2.
Yeah. Well, my next comeback story, my second and 3, is one that basically any sports fan knows about. Pretty recent. Is Peyton Manning. Obviously on the Colts for so many years was amazing. Did he win 1 or 2 Super Bowls with the Colts?
He was at 1. He won 1.
He won 1, but he was just like he was the only guy for a little bit of time. One of the only guys you could have a GOAT conversation with Tom Brady just because he was so successful. And then he had 4 neck surgeries because of a herniated disc. And there were times, even when he was still playing, where he couldn't feel his fingers after this. But he came back and he lit it up. He went to the Super Bowl twice, won one of those, obviously before he retired. But he spent 3 years at Denver, and I think he threw for over 4,500 yards each season that he fully played. When he played all 16 games. Obviously, he had 1 year with 55 touchdown passes. Just an amazing comeback story of a guy who broke his neck, for lack of a better term, not being a doctor and knowing the real terminology. Broke his neck. No one thought he would come back. The Colts gave up on him, and he came back, won a Super Bowl, and just it was amazing to see.
Yeah, I don't think anybody – well, not anybody, but I don't think people quite – if I remember everything right, I don't think people quite understood, like, how bad it really was, like, his injury at the time. Now I think people are like, oh, crap, like, that was really bad. But at the time, they're like, what do you mean? Why can't Peyton Manning throw the ball? Like, what the heck? Why are the Colts getting rid of him? What's wrong with them? It's like, no, like, literally most people thought he was never going to be able to throw a football with any kind of zip, any kind of, not that he ever had like a huge arm, but any kind of consistency ever again, including probably himself if you're, for a period of time there. So,
I mean, it was bad for him in the Super Bowl. I remember watching that. It was one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever seen, besides maybe that Patriots-Rams one. But that Broncos-Panthers Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was bad. He couldn't throw the ball.
You could tell he had played 20, 23 games that whole year, including preseason, postseason, and regular season. Like that guy's arm had fallen off. He couldn't get anything under it. It was a hard game to watch, and I think that kind of shows with how much he was pretty much a top 3 quarterback his entire NFL career, each season, and to see a guy that's obviously one of the greatest of all time, to throw like that shows what kind of injury that kind of injury takes toll on.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, and it's like. I know they got kind of carried into that Super Bowl by the defense. And Von Miller, you had just an amazing defense.
Talib and Chris Harris, yeah. Yeah,
and even though he looked rough at the end of it, like he won them games. He won them some games. He got them to that point without Peyton Manning. They just wouldn't have gotten there without the defense. Peyton Manning wouldn't have gotten there. It was a team effort. But, it was just like. I don't care if the defense carried him. Like, it was just he deserved that second Super Bowl. He deserved to have more than Eli. He deserved to have more than Joe, or as many as Eli. He deserved to have more than Joe Flacco and some of these other quarterbacks that are these flash in the pans. But yeah, I was really happy to see him come back and
I agree.
have at least one incredibly good year, but like just was solid. I mean, he was old. He was 39, but he was solid the whole time.
All right, Ben, number 2.
I'm gonna go with Mario Lemieux. So we're gonna go to the hockey side. Mario Lemieux, still, and at the time when all this stuff that we'll talk about is gonna happen, was regarded as is still regarded as one of the top 5 players of all time. Just incredible hockey player. There's a funny story where when he was super young and he was playing juniors. I think it was either the Maple Leafs head coach joked but was halfway serious about buying his club, Lemieux's club team, just to find a way so that they could sign him first, like when he was like 15 or something stupid. So I mean, widely regarded as one of the best talents teams have ever seen. He was killing it, having great career. And in 1993, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So he's got cancer. And, the thought was, okay, initially he was like, all right, do I take the whole year off? Do I just stop playing and try to, take care of this? Am I done? Am I just done with my whole career? The guy missed less than 2 months of the season. He underwent like some insane, chemo stuff and came back, led the league in scoring, and he helped the Penguins win a record 17 straight games that season. Just an insane, like that just doesn't like that to me. Like I've seen people go through like chemo treatments. I've seen people, what the toll that it takes on their bodies, and obviously. Some people can't walk. The fact that he was able to go out there and play a professional sport and play it at a extremely high level, and hockey is not an easy game to play on your body. I mean, you're getting beat up, especially back in the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
That was a violent game in the 90s. More violent than it is even now. And to miss 2 months or just under 2 months for that. It boggles my mind how anybody was able to do that. Obviously, he was able to. So that's just one of the more insane. I guess I wouldn't. It's a comeback story. It's a little short term, comeback, but it's just one of the more insane feats after dealing with sickness or injury or something like that that I've ever heard of. So.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Wayne Gretzky, he would, to a lot of people, be the best or greatest hockey player of all time.
Yep.
Especially for that second half of his career. Yeah, I mean, the year after that surgery, he had 161 points.
Yep.
Which is like, I think, like top 20s ever.
Well, he was putting up Gretzky-like scoring numbers for a while. I mean,
yeah.
Which is stupid. No one else did that.
No, I know. It's insane. Like, I think, I don't think he broke 200, but I think he had 198 or 199, and like, no one else got close to 200 except Gretzky. It was like, no, you don't do that if you're not Gretzky.
Right.
But yeah, he's definitely a top 5, probably I'd say top 3 hockey player of all time.
Yep.
You behind that? I'm gonna speed through this one a little bit, but I have a hard time trying to figure out where to start. I'm gonna go with Kurt Warner first off here. Undrafted out of Northern Iowa in 1994, and basically was signed to the practice squad to be a camp body for the Green Bay Packers. Didn't pan out, but he spent some time working at a Hy-Vee grocery store then in Center Falls, Iowa after that. So he's making $5.50 an hour at a Hy-Vee in 1995, and then 1996 rolls around. Some NFL teams still did not give him a chance, but the Arena Football League did. And it was the Iowa Barnstormers that gave him a shot. Played for a couple of seasons with them, and then European football calls, and the Amsterdam Admirals give him a call. And that's 1998, finally Trent Green goes down in 1999 for the St. Louis Rams, and they're like, all right, we got to get a new face in here, and their season was pretty much toast by that time. And Kurt Warner, still, in the off season, still working at a Hy-Vee store, takes that call from the St. Louis Rams to come try to be the quarterback, basically. And come that time, Jake Delhomme also was with the Rams. Some people remember him with the Panthers and his Super Bowl appearance there back in 2004 against the Patriots. But Jake Delhomme got beat out as well by Kurt Warner, making a crazy comeback on that roster. And then obviously we know the story of him winning, a Super Bowl, being a Super Bowl MVP, and then also being an NFL MVP in 99 and in 2001. He is still the only undrafted player to ever win an NFL MVP award. And he has the 13th highest passer rating of all time. It's like 93.7. Just put up great numbers, and it's just really hard to believe that a guy that played at such a high NFL level till 2009, so basically 15, 16 seasons of total football from him, and still played at such a high level till he was done with the Cardinals in 2009. Hard to see that from an undrafted guy spent time that worked at a Hy-Vee store. I think that's what makes it the biggest crazy thing, is making $5.50 an hour at a grocery store, stocking shelves in third shift. Like, yep. That's wild to see where he came from. So that's why I put Kurt Warner here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be a little lighthearted with my last one. I'm going to go with Seabiscuit. So, the horse. Yes, the horse.
All right.
Seabiscuit. Let me pull up a quick article. Seabiscuit was small horse, and was kind of a laughingstock. A lot of people, just because he was small, people didn't think he'd be that great. Ended up winning a couple championship races, and then he ruptured his tendon in his knee. And everyone kind of thought, and it was while he was racing, the rider felt it happening. It's like, this horse cannot go. So he doesn't finish the race, or he might have finished the race, but everyone thought, there's the old joke of when your horse breaks an ankle, you shoot it in the head. So Seabiscuit obviously gets a little better treatment than your mate's horse. But he went off to a ranch to kind of just breed and wander around. So for almost a year, he just kind of wandered around, got kind of fat. And would his owners of the place he was at, he would try to race deer on the side, by the fences, and the deer would beat him in the race. So it was just not good. And then his owner thought, let's give him another shot. So they helped him recover. He went and gave him one last shot. I'm going to read this verbatim because I don't want to mispronounce anything and misremember anything. One last chance to win at Santa Anita 100 Grander. And not only did Seabiscuit win, but he clocked the fastest mile and a quarter in track history and the second fastest ever run of an American track. If we're talking about comebacks, from not being able to beat a deer in a race and being fat and rupturing your, being a joke of people putting a bill in your head and sending you to the glue factory, Seabiscuit, man, comes back, sets some course records. Let's go.
I did not expect a horse here for your third one, but I definitely dig the variety that we're plugging in here for sure.
I enjoyed it. That was a cool story. That was really cool.
Hey, horses are athletes.
Yeah, they are. It's a sport. All right, I'm gonna go with Tiger Woods as my last one. This is in my opinion, and I love golf, but I'm a baseball guy. But I think what Tiger Woods pulled off last year, winning the Masters, was the greatest comeback in sports history, just in my opinion. Coming from, and this is not just, I'm not going to get into his personal demons as much here and all that.
Oh, that he's Buddhist? Yeah, don't do that.
That, or, just his, his sex addiction or any of the other stuff that he's going on, which obviously, he's had to sort through that too. But so I really won't get much into that. But to come from literally, by all accounts, not being able to stand up out of a chair in, probably from the time the Masters was last year a year and a half before that, he couldn't even stand up. To winning the Masters is just insane, right? Watching, I remember I actually subscribed to NBC Sports Gold to watch a bunch of the golf tournaments the year previous. So this isn't last year, but the year previous, because it was like, oh, cool, Tiger's back, because this is right around when he was starting to make his comeback. I'm like, I want to kind of watch golf, so I would watch it at work, and with NBC Sports Gold, you could watch like featured groups and the rounds, starting Thursday, because most of the time on the smaller tournaments they wouldn't show all the rounds on TV until like Saturday. So I was watching, and I'm watching him, and at the beginning of the year, I'm like, man, he's rough. Like he's just, you can tell I'm like, people are talking, they're like, man, he'll never win again. He's just out here, he's just an average golfer now. There weren't even glimpses of greatness, and to watch that like build up until he won the tour championship at the end of that year, that was amazing. And then still people were saying, hey, there's no way he's ever going to win another major. He's never going to catch Jack, which he still hasn't, obviously. But that was an anomaly. And for him to come out and play the way he did, it was just vintage. Tiger Woods in that Masters, just play smarter than everybody else, and just dominate. The best field in golf, typically at the Masters, was incredible. And then to obviously see it, just see the emotion out of him. And by all accounts, he's just become more of an open and just a better guy overall. And just to kind of see him, really, embrace his kids, and to see that was just inspiring to watch that. And the other thing to think about is I can't think of an athlete, a high-level athlete, coming back from an injury like his, and legitimately coming back from it. Like his back needed to be reconstructed. Like his spine needed to be his back had to be fused back together. Like most people, if you've got a bad back, like that's kind of it.
That's your life now.
That's your career. I mean, any other bad back, like really bad back like that I've ever heard of, no one's able to come back from it. And he didn't think he would ever even play golf again with his kids. He never thought he'd be able to just play, rec league golf again, let alone, playing on the PGA Tour and winning tournaments and winning majors. So that was, watching that happen. And for me, I was, it was kind of cool I was able to kind of watch it, and I wanted to just watch it kind of build up to that moment. It was really cool to see. So still, in my opinion, the greatest comeback in all of sports history. Obviously non-golf fans are probably not going to think that. But just to see that was just incredible to me. So,
yeah, I think it's one of the best ever. The only thing that was a little tainted to me was just like all the Tiger Woods fan online. Like every time,
yeah, I mean, there's some, yeah.
I know it's. So I love Tiger Woods. I love to see when we did, but like his fans would be like, it'd be some random championship those couple of years before he was really bad. Oh, Tiger's back, and then he would get in the top 10 and then drop out.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, just wait till he's really back to say that he's back. It's like Texas.
I agree. It's like he would always.
We're back.
He would always it was you're right. It was years before, because he took 2 years off of doing anything before he came back for this legitimate time. But there were a couple times where he was back, where he would come back and then he'd drop out of a tournament third round because he was too sore. It's like you can't. Yeah, it was just dumb.
Yeah. So I love his comeback, and like you said, I think it's one of the best ever. But it was just the lead up to it was tainted to me.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm right there with you. What he was able to do it's probably never going to be done again.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So my last one is going to be Michael Vick, who, when I was in middle school, when I first really started getting into football, actually was probably one of my favorite players in any sport, certainly the NFL. I used to try to collect every single card I had. I would literally pay middle school classmates $2, because that was a lot of money back then, just to have any card of Michael Vick that they had. The minute I had to snatch some dollar bills out of my mom's purse. Sorry, confession time. But Michael Vick, just an interesting story. Obviously, he was the number 1 overall pick back in 2001 out of Virginia Tech. Unprecedented type of athlete that a lot of NFL coaches and GMs at that time were like, wow, this dude's faster than pretty much every guy in the field, and he can throw the ball 80 yards down the field. Like, where do you find that kind of combination? So obviously, up until he decided to, make a poor choice and get involved with dog fighting, and then because he, hanging out with people that he probably shouldn't have from his hometown, kind of dragged them back down. And so obviously he's suspended without pay, violating the player conduct policies by Roger Goodell. When Goodell pretty much just started, that's one of the first things he did when he came in as commissioner. Basically spent, just under 2 years in prison on good time. He was sentenced to 2 years, got out on good time, and then got acquainted with Tony Dungy, and already kind of made the decision to turn his life around in prison. Tony Dungy is just a bonus point. Obviously, if we read anything from Tony Dungy or know the type of man that Tony Dungy is, it's probably the best person to get in touch with when you're trying to rehabilitate yourself as a human being. But Tony Dungy, because of his connections, got him involved with Andy Reid and the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Vic, obviously, playing in Philadelphia in front of probably the craziest fans in the NFL. A lot of scrutiny came about from that. But I think over time he started to prove himself as a person, showing he wasn't the same kind of cocky, arrogant guy that he was with the Falcons. Showed a lot of humility, took a lower contract, did whatever he had to do to better himself as an athlete and as a person. So when McNabb went down, Kevin Kolb came in, and then Michael Vick came in. So he was technically the third quarterback at the time, and rolled in and brought them to NFC Championship games even, and reinvented himself as a quarterback. Eventually age comes in, and he kind of spent some time, hopping from the Jets and then, to the Steelers to finish out his career. But now, even during the NFL career, he was in his free time, basically talking about animal abuse and defending, animal rights and stuff, and being an advocate for animals that he used to fight. And I think kind of showing that turnaround as a person and still coming back to the same athlete that he was, just as athletic, always one of the most exciting players in the NFL. And I think even being out of a league for 2 years, it's a long time to get back to NFL speed again. So that's why I think Michael Vick is, to me, maybe a top 5. I think ultimately if I had to make one here, Ben with Tiger Woods. I think if you just consider everything with all sports, I think Tiger Woods had one of the biggest comebacks, but definitely really some good ones. And Seabiscuit coming as an underrated one. Really like that too. So I do like this discussion topic that we could definitely go on a lot longer. We have brought this to an hour and 40 plus. So I will not be going through the cards this week. Saving that for next week after we do special teams and our discussion topic of sports previews coming back. So definitely appreciate you guys, popping on again today. Definitely also want to take a moment to once again show off my realtor right there. Hi, Brett. Right there on the far left. That's my guy, and that whole group, the Buscard Group Real Estate in general, always do a really good job. Bend over backwards, pretty much 24/7 on the clock. They are working. So be sure to take a gander at them when you are buying or selling. I know, Isaiah, things worked out for you guys. You don't have to worry about that for a while. Really happy for that. But Ben and Caitlin, you might be moving in a couple of years again out of KZoo. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you can come up to us.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
I needed a game time decision right now, actually.
Yeah, that's tough. There's a lot of factors there. I don't know if I can give you that.
It's all good. Definitely enjoy this a lot. There's a good group of guys. Appreciate all the listeners out there. Like and subscribe on YouTube at the 6Three, Instagram, Twitter, and our website, the6three.com. We will see you next week, July 14, if all goes well.
Yeah.
And be ready. See you guys.
See ya.